Hey TD superheroes, my name is Alejandro Perez and I am your sidekick. In this video we're going to take a look at using the code that we developed for creating the controls. So we have the controls for the face, together with the import script for all of the blend shapes, and start attaching the blend shapes to these controls. We're going to start off by setting up a attribute here inside of each one of the controls based off of the imported geometry. So let's clear all of this because we don't need it right now. We're going to be importing it from our project folder. All of this controls code, so the create control and the face controller needs to be copied off, and then we're going to call the face controller inside of our code over here. So let's put this right here, and right now these are built as functions, which is a good idea. So let's take all of this, tab it in, and we'll say define create face big. Okay, and then for right now, at the very end, we're gonna run create face rig. And then in here, after these for loops, we will create the face controller. Oops, we just need this part. Paste that in there, and we need a colon here, and for character name let's just put test. We're just making sure that all the code works together right now, running it through the function and creating the controls. So let's take this, run it. It is importing all of the blend shapes. It created the control. It is called test, and we have it here. So that is working properly. Now, as we import the controls, we have things here that are set up for each controller. So we have the mouth, we have the left and right, we have for the brow, the cheeks, the eyes. So we have cheeks controllers. We'll take a look at where we'll put it. We'll probably put it together with the mouth. But let's take a look at using this information. So let's scroll up here. And over here's where it's importing. So we're going to want to create the face controller inside of this step here. And now that we have that here, for the name of the controller, actually, this is going to be, yeah. So actually, we need to control this, or create this, not in the loop, because that's going to create a whole bunch of copies. Where we want to create it is right before, so that it exists, and we'll call this just my character, or my char for right now. And then over here is where we're going to start looking at seeing what is actually being imported right now. And then once we know that something is imported, we can basically split up the string to see what is the first item in the list. So let's take the item name. So and that should be a string. We can see that we are using item here. So we're going to say body part, or face part, I guess, is equal to item dot split. I'm going to split it based off of the underscore. And then face part is going to be equal to, and then we have basically 0, 1, 2. So we want to get the first item in the list because all of the body parts are right here on the left or right side. So let's say it's going to be face part in brackets 0. And then let's print face part. Now we need to clear the scene. And let's run this. So we can see we're getting nose, nose, mouth. So the last two should be nose, nose, mouth, and then we should see more mouths coming up. So we are getting the correct part. So then we can start a condition statement for each part. Let's start off with mouth. If face part is equal to, and it should be with a capital M, so M-O-U-T-H. And this will be based off of what your character name parts are called. Then what do we want to do? We want to add an attribute. So it's going to be like if we have here, and then we'll go edit, add attribute. It's going to be a float. We're going to set a minimum of 0, a maximum of 1, and then set a name, and then add. And we can see that we've added that attribute there. So let's look at the code here in the history. So we can see that we're using add attribute, and we're setting the attribute that way. So we're going to say mc.add adder, and then it says ln for name, but let's check the command documentation really quick. So we'll go here, command documentation, and ln is long name, and then we have sn for short name. So that's why there's an L and an N before it. So we're just going to have a long name, ln is equal to item. Then it's going to be min is equal to 0, max is going to be equal to 0, and I'm just looking at the attributes right here. The attribute is double, which is a float, but let's take a look at that. So, and we should put default 0 value of 0. Yep. Default is equal to 0. Okay, so this should add all of those mouth controls, mouth blend shapes into the mouth control. So let's run this. Default looks like it wasn't the right flag, so it errored out once we got into that. So let's take a look. There we go. Default value. My mistake. It's default value. Oh, let's clear all of this first. There we go, and then run this. Invalid characters because it's using the obj name. So we need to remove the .obj. So what we will do to do that is take the similar to what we did over here, but instead of separating it by underscore, we're going to separate it by the period. Actually, we might need that in the future, but we'll use it over here for right now. We'll say header name is going to be equal to item dot split, and then we're going to split it based off of the period. then adder name is equal to adder name at index level 0. And then now instead of item, where you're going to use adder name. Okay, let's clear the scene and see if we get this working now. We got mouth, error, adder name, because I misspelled it, I think. Oh, this one here is misspelled. Okay, now we should be getting something. Another error. New attributes cannot be added. No nodes selected. So what we need to do is make sure that we select the mouth control. So you can see it's just called mouth control. Then we can do that right before mc.select mouth, gotta be in quotes, mouth underscore CTRL. And let me see if in the add attribute in this here, if there's a way, yeah, you can see they created the sphere, then they add the attributes. So when you create it, it is automatically selected. So we're selecting it here and running this. So let's clear the scene and run all of this. There we go. We're getting multiple mouths. That means it's working. And then if we can select mouth, we should have extra attributes, but we do not. Oh, because we didn't turn the visibility of the control. So what we're seeing right now is the, let's go to the attribute editor. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Channel control, there we go. So we can see that all of these controls have been added. They are just not visible, so we have to make sure that they are visible by making them keyable. So let's take a look at script editor, and we're going to bring up this here. Can we make it keyable here? Keyable is a Boolean, so it is a true or false. So we're going to make it true. So add a comma. Keyable is equal to true. Oops. I try to run it with all these things in the scene and it caused an error. Now we should be good. Okay, let's test that on the mouth. You can see we have all of these controls here, and right now they should not control anything. It looks like the maximum value, is it set to 0? Let's take a look at how we wrote it. Oh, max is 0, so we want max of 1. Okay, and then close all of this. Okay, so let us run this now. And hopefully we should have all of this working. We have all the controls. Let's select this. Oops. There we go. We can go from 0 to 1. So we have those set there. And right now they're not doing anything. They're not driving the controller. I just want to get all of the controls in. So that is for the face, which was the easy one. We also need to be able to figure out, we'll start off with this for brow. So we will get the brow, but we also need to figure out what the name of the object is at the end for the left and right, because we have 2 controllers for each one of those. So we have left and right. I think so that we can limit the amount of code, let's take this and put it here after we create face part. Actually, let's take this and we're going to adjust it. We're going to adjust the code right above it. So we're going to use this name here. So basically we're going to take off the extension at this point, and then we're going to use the part without the extension to split it. I do want to keep the information on the face part, so I don't need this code here anymore because we're putting it above. That will make our overall code much shorter. But I don't want to do this because I want to be able to keep this as a list. So here, I'm going to put it into brackets for 0 and bracket it here for 0. So that way I can use the face part information to be able to figure out if it's left or right. So let us do that here. Okay, so since we know that it is always going to be the last item on the list, what we can do is say if face part, and then in brackets, -1 bracket is equal to, let's start off with the right side. Then what we are going to do is select the right mouth or right brow. So it's going to be, I have it left and right. We might want to adjust that later because the character's right, it's based off of the character's right, it's going to be on this side. Even though it looks like it's on the left over here, we want to actually invert this. So we'll update that later. But we'll still put it on the correct control for right now. So we have our underscore brow underscore CTRL. And then we're going to add control based off of these values. So let's, and the -1 over here, if I didn't say that a moment ago, that's basically working from the backwards. So when you go use index level 0, it's, or a positive number, it's going to be 0, 1, 2. But when you do negative numbers, it's going to work from the back and it's going to say 1, 2, 3. So let's run this after we clear the scene. Cool, it looked like it went straight through the browse. So let's check, is it this one? Yep. We have 3 attributes here. And the left one's not done yet, so let's go ahead and copy this, paste it, and we're going to search for L now. And instead of the R brow, we're going to do L brow, and then clear the scene and run this. Cool. So now we should have attributes here and attributes here. So that is great for us. We can see that we're getting all of the attributes and they are working the same. And we just have to do that the same for the eyes, the nose, and I think the cheeks for now, I'm just going to put them in the mouth, although you can set up your own cheek controls if you wanted to. Let's see. I have nose, mouth, cheek. So I just have basically 2 controllers. I mean, we could add another controller, but at this state, I am just going to put it onto the mouth. So let's do that since that's going to be here. And copy this code. Oops, a little bit too much. And paste it here. And instead of mouth, I'm going to say cheek. And then we add it to the mouth control. Again, constantly testing to make sure that the code is working properly and that we don't have to debug a ton of things at the end and have trouble figuring out which goes. So here we have the cheek puff controls. Okay. Then this code right here, let's copy this and create a new tab. It's going to be Python, and paste this here. What I want to do is we have the eye left and the nose left. So we don't have much on the nose either. We might want to throw the nose into the mouth, although there could be a lot more with the nose if we spent the time to create more blend shapes. Same thing with the cheeks, I guess. But let's do eye really quick. So what I'm going to do is do search and replace. I'm going to search for brow and replace that with eye and tell it to replace all. So now we have the eye one built, and then we can paste that there. And then let's do the same thing for nose. So we can do F. We're gonna now change I for nose, and we can see that's what we got there. Replace all, close. Let's copy this and bring it in here and paste it. And really, if we wanted to, we can break this into its own function, so that way we can use an argument and change those items out. But we got this done, but that's something to consider for the future. Maybe if I clean this up later, we'll do that to make it more efficient. But let's clear the scene and run all of this. And then we should be able to check. We got the nose, the eyes, the brows, and the mouth. So we have all of the attributes created for our blend shapes on each control. So there are a few things that we are going to want to do with this control here, because right now we're just adding them as attributes. But some of these, and we're going to have to choose what we want to be assigned to them. We want to actually be able to control with these controls. So the most common controls that we're going to want, or the most intuitive controls, we're going to be wanting to control with the X and Y. Another thing that we want to do is be able to take anything that has, actually, no, not left and right, but up and down, like a frown and a smile, for example. We cannot frown and smile at the same time. So what we can do is combine those. We can have a mouth, frown, smile, and make it left and right. And then a mouth, right, smile, left and right. So we're going to want to be able to set that up for our blend shapes, is those two elements. We're going to be doing that in future videos, but I wanted to give you guys a heads up of what we're going to be doing, why there isn't anything on the actual controllers that we built yet directly, but that's just to come. I wanted to be able to get everything onto the controllers first, and then we're going to filter out what we need to be on these controls here instead of in here. So like for the brow, for example, we have them all in here, but we're going to probably want like drop associated with going down, raise inner, and raise outer. We're probably going to put together, actually we want a whole brow up, so we might need more blend shapes. I just don't have enough of them for the character, because we want like the whole brow up, the whole brow down, the whole brow in, the whole brow out. So like a furrow and a furrow and like surprised expression, basically like going out, or a worried. So like angry or worried, and then surprise, and then this will be down, so it could be like a scowl type. But yeah, that is what we will look forward to in the following lessons. All right, see you guys in the following video. Bye.